Penta. This is WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe. And, after spending a lot of time on the beach, you got to balance it out a little bit and make it back into the studio. And obviously, after last night with the home run derby, as good a time as any. Now, I think to this morning, we're all talking about the home run derby format is a home run in itself. And I couldn't agree more. I think last night was probably the first time I really could say that I enjoyed the home run derby in a long time. Obviously, we all like to see the final round, but the earlier rounds just could never really grab my attention before last night, and I thought it was perfect. Baseball's biggest three problems that I really just kept on talking about, that this is a big problem, is the lack of young talent, the lack of activity, and the lack of a fast pace in the game. And I think Rob Manfred, and I give him a tremendous amount of credit for it, he gets it. He's a smart guy. He understands these are the three areas the game needs to improve in, and I think right now the game is making strides in all three of those areas, and all kind of captivated and captured in that home run derby last night. The young talent was there. Jock Peterson, Todd Frazier in the final. When the two of them, I was rooting for. I didn't want Albert Pujols in the final. I wanted Jock Peterson against Todd Frazier. We've seen Albert Pujols many times. I want to see the young guns now. I want to see Jock Peterson. I wanted to see Todd Frazier. I wanted to see Chris Bryant. And the more activity. Obviously, the more activity helped big time. There really was not a lot of downtime. Each batter was able to take their little time out in between, but still, at the end of the day, the activity was there. There really wasn't any stoppage moments. There really wasn't a lot of downtime. It was just kept on going and moving along. That's baseball's biggest problem, and because I started to used to think that a big problem was the games are too long. But then in the same regard, when you look to college football games are longer than they've ever been, but the attendance and the viewership has never been higher. But why is that? Well, college football, it's all about the activity level. You're always being entertained. There's always something happening. Baseball, there's way too much downtime. And again, Rob Manfred is doing his best to correct that, and he's doing a good job at it. And then the faster pace. Obviously, the clock helps tremendously. I mean, there's some of the old home run derbies where you're just watching one guy stand up there and hack for an hour. The 5-minute clock is perfect. A lot of the guys had the 30-second extra bonus time. I thought it was fantastic. I was all in the entire time, and that's something I couldn't always say previously. So I definitely give Rob Manfred and that whole committee a ton of credit because it was fun. They got it right. I mean, my tweet last night, I think, captivates what it was all about. Young talent, more activity, faster pace. That's how baseball keeps moving forward. This home run derby had all those, and they got it right. And look, I've been very, very aggressive going after Bud Selig on the show many times, and I really felt like he held back baseball for so long. It's that unwillingness to adapt and change with the times, and for so long baseball was held back, and it's a big reason why the younger demographics they don't have the same numbers in viewership with them, because Bud Selig was never willing to improve, to change the game. Everything was always fine. Whenever you ask him a question, why aren't young people watching baseball? They are. Well, they weren't, and I think now it's starting to change because Rob Manfred is taking the steps that you needed to. The biggest steps, increasing the activity level, making the games faster with the pace. The young talent is something, I mean, you can't give him as much credit for, but it's something that certainly is helping. I mean, when Mike Trout came up and Bryce Harper came up, that was kind of the start of this boom, and that boom has really continued. Then you had Yasiel Puig. Now you have guys like Jock Peterson, guys like Todd Frazier. Obviously, Chris Bryant, what he's doing. Can't forget about guys like Anthony Rizzo on the Cubs. There is an explosion of young talent in Major League Baseball. And I think my dad and I were talking about this on the car ride this morning, and I think it's a great point, is for all of the problems baseball has had with that steroid era, I think these young guys kind of offer that blank slate of hope because I think we all kind of can believe that they're clean, and I think that's one of the biggest things that young people want is they want nobody wants to have that second guess. Am I watching what I'm watching? Is it clean? Are these guys doing things the right way? Nobody wants that doubt to creep in the back of their mind, and I don't think we get that with these new guys because the drug testing is so rigorous now, and you'd really have to be a fool to go out there and try something because you're going to get caught. They've seen it, the writing's on the wall is what's going to happen if you do with A-Rod and with all these other guys, Ryan Braun. So I think that alone also helps tremendously, and the fact that they've come in at such a young age and really are just have the power, are putting up the numbers in a game that is becoming more and more increasingly pitching oriented. I think it's all major selling points. But it helps tremendously. And again, I think there's a lot of things at play here. I think Commissioner Manfred, from the day that he stepped in, his priorities were in the right place, making the game faster. The young talent helped in the activity level. If baseball continues with this, with the young guys continuing to emerge and to come and develop, the activity levels continuing to increase. We've already seen this year how much faster the games are, the pace of the games themselves. I mean, I think we're seeing record numbers of games completed in shorter amounts of time than we've seen in a long, long while. And that is exactly what the game needs to capture back the young baseball fan. Because let's be honest, the older baseball fan's going to be there no matter what, no matter how much the game changes. Your true baseball fans are never going to go anywhere. They survived much, much more serious things than that. The way that you adapt is you change, you're willing to be progressive. Progressiveness in all sports is always what carries you home to the end of the day. It's why the NFL, in their the top of the top, and it's not even close by anyone else in this country, is always willing to adapt, to look at the model. The model is never perfect. And for an organization like that makes more money than you could ever fathom and that is more popular than you could ever fathom, to always be willing to adapt, be progressive, change, do new things, that is all that you really need to know. But I think it's really good stuff. Again, really enjoyed the home run derby last night, and I didn't really expect it going into it. We also had U.S. soccer last night, and I kind of am waiting to get those numbers to kind of see the split was, because I think the U.S. soccer, and it's interesting because where baseball is going, where soccer is kind of where the younger demographics are starting to shift towards, but I think baseball certainly is the thing that the younger numbers are certainly going away from a little bit more. But stuff like this, like last night, the people who are afraid of soccer taking over, which is ridiculous because the game is beautiful in itself, I mean, last night is just a good sign. I think if you're a baseball fan and you've been worried about that lack of progressiveness, that lack of change, Commissioner Manfred, he's doing all the right things. Last night was a home run in itself. Really good stuff, though. We'll be back in a minute. I mean, there are so many places we could go now, but I think right now you can't go anywhere more wrong than doing a little bit of soccer, so don't go anywhere. The El Clasico schedule is out. We'll break those down, talk a little bit more about that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.